back, these movies back for another video, and today is the start of a new series of videos where we're going to be looking at disaster films, and essentially films that involve Mother Nature, the power of nature when things happen, and films that are sort of made that show things that happen in nature. So yeah, we're going to each week discuss a film. This week we're actually going to discuss two films. I watched these back to back, and I'm going to give you my thoughts each week on what I thought of the film, a bit of information about the film, cast, some trivia, facts and figures and things on the film. So yeah, I thought it'd be a nice series of videos looking at the disaster genre. Okay, so we're going to kick it off with two films, both Norwegian films. The first being The Wave, and the sequel, The Quake. So we're going to talk a bit about The Wave to start with, and then I'll move on to my thoughts on The Quake. Okay, so The Wave came out in 2015. It was a certificate 15 in Norway, and it was a thriller stroke action genre, or part of the disaster genre, I would say. And it ran for 1 hour and 44 minutes. Just to give you a brief summary of the film, a geologist and his family live near a scenic mountain pass in Norway when it collapses. An 85-metre tidal wave descends upon them, threatening their existence. The release date in Norway was the 28th of August 2015 and directed by Roar Utuch, if I'm pronouncing that right, starring Christopher Jonah, Anne Daltrop, Jonas Hoff, Otrabro, Edith Hangrunrud Sand, Frigid Sandham. I'm probably butchering all these names. These are all obviously Norwegian. The box office was $12.8 million US, and this is in Norwegian language with English subtitles. Distributed by Nordisk Film and Magnolia Pictures. Okay, I'll give you some trivia on the film. This was the first disaster movie made in Norway and Scandinavia. Such a disaster has in fact happened in Tafjorden, another side arm of Southjorden, north of Gengarangsfjord. On the 7th of April 1934, a huge chunk of mountain broke off, fell 700 metres into the forge, and created a 62-metre high tsunami which swept away 2 villages, killing dozens. Norway has about 5 million inhabitants, and The Wave sold 832,649 admissions. 832,649 admissions. Therefore, about every 6th Norwegian saw in a cinema. Sold over 141,000 tickets in Norway on the first weekend release, the third best result ever for a Norwegian film. Shot in Norway and Romania. Norway's official entry for the Best Foreign Language Film category at the 88th Academy Awards in 2016. Okay, so what did I think of this film? Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm not usually big on foreign films, I must admit. I'm not a huge fan of reading subtitles in films, but if it's a good enough film, you kind of get used to reading the subtitles and you just get invested in it. And very much so with this film. I really did enjoy this. The story is well paced. It's essentially the story of a family. The husband, he works for sort of a geologist monitoring centre. So they're monitoring a mountainside, and they've got all sensors and things, and they want to make sure that there's no sort of landslides or that would cause a tsunami. So this is being constantly monitored, and we picked the film up where he is actually leaving the job to actually go to another job, which I think is going to be sort of more to do with oil. So he will be leaving the area of Norway that he's in. And you also meet his wife and his sort of daughter, who is probably 8 to 10 years old, I'd imagine, and his son, who is probably sort of late teens, sort of finishing school. And yeah, you kind of establish, his sort of family life, and they're all prepared to sort of move with his job, so they're packing up the house. And yeah, it's it's sort of well sort of structured at the start. You pretty much know what's happening right from the word go. And as the film progresses, you see he kind of, there are some sort of warnings that happen, sort of monitoring systems that show things that are not quite right with the mountainside. And before he actually leaves his job, he goes and investigates with a fellow colleague, and he kind of discovers that all is not well with the mountain, and he tries to warn his colleagues, and they kind of sort of dismiss it as if it's just a blip. But he kind of feels that this is going to sort of happen, so he tries to start to warn people, and he goes to try and tell his wife, and his wife works in a hotel, and his son is with her, and his daughter is with him, and he tries to tell all the residents to sort of get to high ground because this wave is coming. And the film builds tension as we go, and obviously there is a tsunami that takes place, and it's really well done. The effects are really well done for quite a modest budget on a film. It's very much sort of based around the characters and their struggle of how to survive this. The storytelling is very much from the family perspective, which is great. It's not all about just sort of the visuals. I mean, you get some fantastic visuals of Norway, the mountains. It's a beautiful country. I've never been myself, but I would imagine it must be a fantastic place to visit. And yeah, it is done incredibly well, and the tension mounts as we go along. I'm not going to sort of go into what happens at the end of the film. I'll pretty much leave this sort of open for you to go and watch if you haven't watched it. But I would highly recommend you viewing this film, because it's a fantastic low budget disaster film, which is heavily based on sort of character development, and yeah, gives Hollywood films a run for their money, if you ask me. Now, just a little tip: if you rather than actually having to buy the film physically, I mean, I'm seriously considering probably picking up the DVD of this, but I actually watched this via YouTube. You can actually watch the film. Somebody's put the film on YouTube. No adverts in between it, so it was great. I could just watch the whole film from start to end. Yeah, okay, maybe the quality of the picture isn't as probably as good as I think there may be a Blu-ray of this, but I don't think in this country. But I had it on the sort of high setting. I think it was 1080p, and it looked pretty good. Yeah, you got some blocking on the dark scenes that you usually get with streaming, but perfectly adequate, and a great way to watch this film. So yeah, definitely go and have a look at YouTube, put the Wave in 2015, and I'm sure you'll find, you'll be able to watch this film. So on to the second film, the sequel, called The Quake. So this was filmed in 2018, and this time it was a certificate 12, so slightly lower rating, and it came in at 1 hour and 48 minutes. So this time, a geologist races against time to save his strange wife and 2 children when a devastating earthquake strikes Oslo, Norway. Release date in Norway was the 31st of August 2018, and again directed by John Andres Andersen. Language was in Norwegian. Music was by Jonas Ringen, Johan Skorvich, and the box office was $14 million. Again distributed by Nordisk Film. Again, it was the same cast as the first film, reprising their roles, the family. So no changes in cast in this one. On to a little bit of trivia about the film. The Quake grossed $6,235 in the United States and Canada and $14 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $14 million, plus $374,237 with home video sales. At the 2019 Amanda Awards, the film received the People's Amanda and the award for Best Visual Effects. In addition, the film was also nominated in the categories of Best Norwegian Film in Theatrical Release and Best Production, Direction, Cinematography. This movie takes place 3 years since the end of the last film. Okay, so on to my thoughts of The Quake. Yeah, again, I actually preferred this one over the first film. It again picks up the story 3 years later of the events of the first film, and the returning family are in this film. So you kind of already establish characters in your mind. You kind of know, you've seen these characters before, so it's already sort of established. You know who these people are, and possibly what's going to happen this time round. So in this film, it's very much all in the city, so within Oslo. And again, the main character, he sort of discovers that all is not well with a certain tunnel, that there's things going on. He discovers that a scientist was looking into all of this, and there's the likelihood that there's going to be an earthquake at some point. And again, his wife and son, his son is now at university. He's got a girlfriend, and the daughter is a little bit older. So they're all living in sort of the city of Oslo now. So it's very different to the first film in a lot of tone. First film was very much in the beautiful countryside of Norway, and this time round we're in a city. And again, obviously, there is an earthquake. Obviously, that's not really a spoiler because it's a quake. I won't go really into sort of what happens within the film because, again, I think from my point of view, I would say this is a better film than the first one. The first one kind of sets everything up. You go through their experiences, whereas this one for me, went to the next level. And it was, done incredibly well. And again, for me, I think this gives the Hollywood disaster films a run for their money. I really do. To be on such a small budget and to produce such a tense action film, which keeps you engaged, keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't praise this film highly enough. Again, I was lucky to find this film on Amazon. There's actually, you can watch the film with free ads, but what that means is that you pretty much, you put the film on, there's an ad which lasts for about 20 seconds advertising some Amazon product or something, and then it goes back to the film. So and where it actually breaks is a reasonable point. It's done like you're not sort of waiting for the next, you know, desperate sort of thing to happen, but yeah, it is done at a point where you can have a breather, shall we say. That's probably the word I'm looking for. So yeah, again, if you want to watch this film for free, as I say, if you've got Amazon, access to Amazon, so I don't think you have to be a Prime member. I think you can watch it with this free ad thing. So I'd highly recommend, certainly watching it, even if you didn't pick this up. Yeah, back to sort of the thoughts on my, on the film. Again, it builds and builds, the tension builds. Obviously, the quake happens and various events happen, and it's a sort of a fight for survival, with various characters going through things, and it's done incredibly well. Again, the visuals on this are done very well for such a modest budget. It really keeps you engaged. Yeah, I really can't sort of, think this is a great film, to be honest. And so I know you can pick it up on DVD, very very cheap, for a couple of quid, I think. But it certainly deserves a lot more treatment. I think certainly a UK Blu-ray release would be fantastic. I think they could sort of get some really good sort of atmos on this, um, and yeah, I highly recommend both films. And if you watch them back to back, it kind of just flows. Really good, really really great experience. Just a review of the two films, The Wave and The Quake. As I say, I really recommend these films. Wonderful Norwegian films done on a very low budget, but done so well. Very character driven, but some good effects. But yeah, just really sort of keep you on the edge of your seat, and fantastic filmmaking. And it's really nice to see sort of a small country like Norway, that probably doesn't really produce sort of many blockbuster films, producing such quality films. So yeah, as I say, I'd highly recommend, even if you don't want to buy them, go and check them out. One on YouTube, one on Amazon Prime, but I think you can watch it with sort of ads free. So I don't even think you need the Prime membership. But so yeah. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this video. So this is the first sort of video in the disaster series, and next time round we'll look at another film, and give you my thoughts on it, and give you a little bit of information and trivia, etc. So yeah, thanks very much for watching the video, guys. Take care and see you in the next one. Bye now.